All right, so just like usual, I have put this week's plan. It's week 4 already. Can you believe that? We've been doing this for almost a month. I put the plan here, so let's go through it together. I'm assuming that by now everybody has responded to the survey about back to school, what their choices are for hybrid or continuing virtual learning. I know what it was. We've been told to continue virtual school. So if you come to school on hybrid, you're going to need to bring your computer because everything's going to be happening still in the virtual environment. So basically, you'll just be doing what you're doing at home, but you'll be doing it at school. So, but obviously, if you're in the room with your teacher, then you can get help and ask questions, but I'm not allowed to come over and like sit by you and go through your assignment. So I have to give you advice and directions or help from a distance, even with masks on. So keep that in mind. It's not going to be like a regular class session. It's going to be pretty much like this, except you'll just be there. I'm guessing. They're not really answering a whole lot of questions on that. I don't know if I'm teaching to the people online Monday morning, the 2 people that are in my class. I don't know, but we'll figure it out. Hybrid schedule, I think we talked about that. Continuing, if you have questions, if something comes up, if your parents want to know something, you can email me. If I don't know the answer directly, or I think things might have changed since the last time I had an answer, I'll contact the principal and he responds. So I'll just find out from the horse's mouth for you. All right, projects and conferences. Everybody should be in full swing with their projects. Conferences are ongoing. I met with about 10 people last week, and I have full schedule this week, 4 people after school every day. And there are still some slots for next week. So if you go to the conference schedule, I linked it down here, just as a reminder, there's still a couple people who need to set up their conference. There are some spaces next week on Tuesday and Wednesday after school, but pretty much everybody has a slot. At this point, I think there are only maybe 3 or 4 people who haven't signed up, and I've emailed those people separately so that I can encourage them to get a time. We're going to talk about your college planning, and we're going to talk about your proposal. So you'll notice in the progress reports are going to go in at noon today. I haven't graded your proposal until we have our meeting. So it's just blank right there. It's not counting against you, it's just blank. When we get to our conference, I'll go ahead and I'll approve your proposal and we'll talk about it and it will go through then. I put a link here to the Zoom conference so that it's handy. It's a different link than our class link. So because it doesn't get recorded, it's just a conversation Zoom. So if you, here's a link, and there's also a link on the stream page. Put it somewhere right here. Link, Zoom link for conferences right here, and then a link to the schedule. So I try to put it in a couple different places so it's easy for you to find that. Any questions on projects and conferences? You don't have to wait for me to approve your topic. I'm assuming that your topic's in decent shape. If we need to talk about it during your conference, we will, but you know, continue doing your research, trying to get your information that you need from your reliable sources. Mark down where you're getting your information so that when it comes time to do your project, you have everything that you need. Conferences are taking about 20 minutes. I have them set up for about every 20 minutes. A couple go over. So if you're not the first person that day after school, just join the link and I will admit you when I'm finished with the person that's ahead of you. So it just might be that I'm finishing up sometimes, you know, 4, 5, 6 minutes, I'm finishing with somebody else. So I see that you're entering, just hang out there and I'll admit you when I'm done with that person. So no worries on that one. All right, college admissions. The counselors met with everybody last week and gave you all kinds of important elements on their counseling page, which I've linked down here. They have a much more user-friendly system here on their website, and basically what the counselors did last week is they just went through their website and talked about the different resources that they have here, and you know, the different ways that you can pay for college, testing information, other resources. They went through all that stuff. I would think that maybe these are new to you, the idea that you can check which dual enrollment credits are going to transfer to which schools and how they're going to apply. So that's something definitely to check into, because not every school applies them the same way to your next degree. So there's scholarship information. It's good to check on that frequently. There's not a lot of scholarships this time of year, but there are some that you could be working on, and you can always click here, especially after that infographic, right? After that infographic, a lot of people were like, oh, that's depressing. I need even more, I need even more money than I thought. And it's true. Everybody says that, your education is going to be expensive, but that's why we're starting now. That's why I'm giving you the infographic. I know that, some people were like, it made me sad. Well, yeah, but I'd rather have you be sad now, get over it, and start getting scholarships and figuring out what you're going to do because you have time right now than to tell you in April, oh, you need an extra $4,000. Like, it's not, that's not helpful to you. So yeah, it's a little shocking at first, but I was I was grading those formatives over the weekend, and I know that y'all aren't on Facebook except for like your grandparents or your parents or something, but I have to be on all the platforms because my first students in Weslaco are now 43 years old, right? So they're on Facebook. Anyway, I posted, I was kind of getting down because people were like, oh, where am I going to come up with even more money? And so I posted on Facebook, you know what we should do? We should run scholarships like quinceañeras, right? You should get the Padrinos de textbooks. You should get get everybody signed up to do the different things that you're going to need. The mini refrigerator, who's going to be in charge of that, and get outfitted the way that we do on quinceañeras. I think that's a thing. I think we should do that. Anyway, so scholarships are good there. And use this page. They have a lot of good resources. Okay, so let's talk about the poll. My job is to help you mainly with the essay. Obviously, if you have questions about the application, I can either find out for you or point you in the right direction. Another good resource is Amanda Rodriguez, who's in the College and Career Center, and you can email her. She's really good about helping you with questions and information. And if you're back at school, you can drop in and ask her questions, but in the meantime, you can email her. I want to go to the questions that you all put up here, and then I want to show you the seminar that I created for you. All right, so let me just go through some of these questions, and some of them are a little overlapping, but I'll talk about them. And so you might want to jot some stuff down, maybe get a little notebook or something just in case. How to structure the essay. Okay, you should probably organize the essay in the same way that you would organize any essay. There should be an intro, a body, and a conclusion. The intro should have a kind of a thesis in that we should know at the end of the intro that how you're going to respond to the topic. So if it's topic A, it's about tell us about your background and challenges that you've had to overcome and stuff like that. So the answer should be in general in the intro, and then the body should seek to explore and explain that. I think it's not successful in general for people to do the guess what I'm talking about essay. I don't think that's good communication. And so like what I mean by that is some people will say, oh, I'm not going to outright tell them what my answer is to the topic, and they're just going to have to guess throughout the essay until the end. That usually gets frustrating, and you're going to lose your audience. They tire of trying to be in suspense. So it's good to answer the topic. You can do it in a creative way. You can do it by telling a little story, but we should have some kind of roadmap in the intro about how you're going to respond to the topic. And then the body, depending on how many paragraphs you have, should seek to enlarge and expand on that idea, or to tell the stories that you need to tell to get it there. And then the conclusion should be an opportunity for you to drill down and make your point that you kind of suggested in the intro, and sort of bring it back around at the end and give some finality to the essay. I know that I'm being kind of general because I don't know what your answer is to the topic. Everybody's going in a different direction based on their own life experiences. So if you want me to look at your essay, I will gladly do it. I've already started looking at some people's essays. And if I think that there's a disconnect on your structure, if I feel like something's missing or repetitive is probably the bigger problem, then I'll mention it to you. If you weren't my student in the past, I will tell you that I'm pretty brutal with essays, which is not normally great for students, but in this case, maybe it's a good thing so that you can sort of hear the truth about your essay. If there's a repetitive section, I'll just say, I think you're repeating yourself here. I'm pretty blunt about it. You can take that advice or not. It's up to you. So if you decide, hey, I guess I better look at that, then you can decide if you feel like you were being repetitive or not. So that's basically the structure I think you should follow. It's going to vary depending on what your topic is, but if you need some help with that, then definitely share your doc with me. Send me an email that explains, hey, I'm working on this essay. I'm kind of lost. I don't know what I should do next. Then I'll give you some feedback on that. I'm going to go vertically, I think. Do we need to do all 3 of the applied Texas essays? Well, that depends. If you're going to do the essays that are required by the school that you are applying to. So on the Applied Texas, there are 3 essay topics, A, B, and C, and you will have to enter into the electronic application whichever essays the schools that you are applying to require. Some schools will say A, B, or C, and then you just do your choice. Some schools will say A is required, B is optional. You should always do the optional, by the way, because there'll be other people who are doing it. So it just depends. There is a lookup. Let's see, I know I have a link. It's in the presentation. It's in the seminar. I put a link in there. I know I haven't shared the seminar with you yet, but I know that it's on this one slide, and I'll show you how it works. So you have to look up all the schools that you're thinking of applying to, and okay, it's right here on this slide. And see, so you might end up writing all 3 of them. This is the link. Apply Texas application details. I think I just searched on a Google search, Apply Texas school lookup or something like that, and I got this one. Or you can go to the link on that slide. So on this one, what's going to happen is you will look up which school you're applying to. Let's just say that we're going to do, let's do Texas A&M College Station. So then you go get university info, and it will give you all kinds of stuff. Here's our website, so on and so forth. And then they will tell you, okay, for fall 2021, the essay requirement is A. So you're going to have to do A, and the essay deadline is 12/15/2020. So you look over here and you see not only which essay you have to do and the deadline. So what I would do is I would look up all the schools that you're planning on applying to. Remember that there are application fees. If you're not going to get a waiver for the schools you're applying to, you can expect to pay between $50 and $100 just to put your application in. And that can get pricey. So it's not free to apply to colleges. Your counselor can try to find waivers for you if that's cost prohibitive, but or sometimes the school, if you meet with the rep, they will offer you a code for free application, but otherwise your application has to accompany payment or they're not going to process it. So just FYI, you might want to save up if you have a lot of schools you're applying to. So then I would go to my other schools and I would say, okay, well, what are the other schools I'm applying to? Do they all need A? If they all need A, then I only have to do SAA. But if one needs A and one needs B, guess what? Now I have to do A and B. And if I look at all of them and the variety of schools I'm applying to require that I write all 3 essays, then you'll have to write all 3 essays. But that's how you determine that. You go to this page here and just all the schools that are on Apply Texas are here. And make sure that you're looking at the right school, like Texas A&M has College Station, but they have these other satellite schools. So double check that you are looking at that. If you can't find your school on the list, it's because Apply Texas doesn't work for that school. So there are some schools on here, like Rice isn't on here. So you have to do the application on their website. So they're going to have their own question. Anything out of Texas is not going to use Apply Texas. So you're going to have to look up the questions that are on that. Okay. What are some things we should avoid when writing a college essay? Yeah, I think you should avoid some controversial topics. I think that if it's too emotional, you're writing to a stranger and a real stranger is going to be reading it. So oversharing is probably not recommended. I think if you have a really strong stance on something like abortion, or like if they ask you to write about an issue, you can write about it. I'm not saying you can't write about it, but those issues are pretty divisive, capital punishment, that sort of thing. You just might want to write about some other aspect of your personality, because those issues tend to be super emotional and intense. And maybe that's not your first introduction to the people at the school. But I think other than that, you should avoid getting overly personal. It's a stranger who's going to be reading it, so you don't want them to be uncomfortable. You can talk about things that happened to you without going into detail if you don't need to. You can just say it was an abusive situation. You don't have to give all the details of that. Or you can say it was not a pleasant year, or, like whatever. You can kind of just sort of gloss over that and people will get the picture. But overshares make people uncomfortable. Just think about, what would you tell somebody if you sat down, like on the bus or in the airplane, and the total stranger was sitting next to you? What would you tell them and what wouldn't you tell them about your life? That kind of thing. You want to get your personality across, but you don't need to, do the TMI thing. Most common type of format, I think I already talked about that. In general, it should have paragraphs. You should flow. There's a part in the seminar where I talk about how your essay should have a direction. It should be moving somewhere. It should be going somewhere. So you should know where that somewhere is. If you're wandering around in the middle, then you're going to lose your audience. So you should know, as you write your intro, what the outcome is at the end. And if you don't, just do some more brainstorming until you get there, or write it, work it out, and take stuff out that doesn't go. How and when will we apply for the different programs in colleges? Okay, yeah, within the school. That depends on your status when you enter the university. So yes, you can get accepted to the university, and the counselor was talking about how, your top 10 situation will get you into the university, but not necessarily into the college that you want to study. So if you're looking at applying to the College of Engineering, College of Business, whatever it is, then you have to do those applications based on that particular college. You can see it on their website, and usually there'll be like a subcategory for the different departments, and then somewhere within the department page there will be an application for the college so that you can get into your program. It's not a guaranteed thing that you're going to get into the program that you want to. And what are they going to look at? Probably they're going to look at your first couple of semesters at the college. They may look at your application from high school, but more than likely they're going to look at your performance on their campus in the courses that are like the prerequisites for the program courses. Will there be an essay? It just depends on the college. Sometimes if you are applying, some people apply to their program at the same time that they apply to the college, in which case they'll probably use the essays that are already required for the application. Like there's people who will have so many credits because of dual enrollment or AP or whatever, that they'll have to apply to the college at the same time that they apply to the university. So they'll get their notification, you've been accepted to the university and you've been accepted to the Macomb Business School or whatever. Yeah, but you'll do that, you'll get that information as you're going through your application. Do we need one more applying to the programs? It just depends. And some of them want you to write about why do you want to go into this field. Others don't use an essay. It's just they have their own application process in the different colleges. Where can we apply for waivers? I'm assuming that it's a waiver for the application fee. I would talk to your counselor and I would talk to the reps from the different schools. They are going to have rep meetings. I don't know if they were talking about a lot the other day with the counselors, but they are going to have the reps in. I think there's one this week for A&M. but they're on their web page or in their Google Classroom. If you're not in your counselor's Google Classroom, you need to be in there because that's where they're announcing that. And I would talk to that rep and I would say, I need a waiver for my application fee and see what they can do for you. Because there's probably like a spot where you can put in a code and then you won't have to pay it, because that can add up real fast. Yeah, that's what I would do. I'd talk to the counselor, maybe also talk to Amanda. She can maybe give you some guidance about who to ask, but that would be the starting point. How long does the essay have to be? That's a good question. I didn't even address that in the seminar. So every school will have their own requirement. Some will tell you a certain length word-wise. Some will say it needs to be character-wise, and others won't give you a limit. If there's no limit, I think you should probably keep it around a page and a half if you type it double-spaced. Anything longer than that is just more than what you need to give them, and they're reading thousands of these, so it's good to keep it concise, get to the point, draw out your ideas, but anything longer than that just shows that you're not very good at brevity. So remember, and I do say this in the seminar, remember that they're not just judging what you say, they're judging how you say it. And if you don't get that you have to limit yourself and you write 6 pages of an essay, they're going to wonder if you're ready for college, because you have to be able to target whether you're writing 1 page, 2 pages, or 15 pages for your courses. So yeah, usually I tell people on the applied text about a page and a half. But I don't think that you should think about that when you're starting the process. Like when you're brainstorming and writing your first draft, you need to get it all out. You need to sort of like, just put all your ideas down and then remove stuff. If you sit there thinking, oh, I've only got, half a page left, it's going to really limit you in your brain. It's going to give you, like a, writer's block. So it's better to just write out what you want to write out for your answer. And then later on, we can solidify and we can, sort of combine things and take out what you don't need. I can help you with that. But I think give yourself the freedom to write it out, and then later we can go back and edit. Is it true that we should be more creative? Yes. What if colleges are more old-fashioned and don't want an elaborate essay? Well, I think there's a difference between creative and elaborate. You don't want to be elaborate really in these essays, and by that I mean all kinds of extra stuff. Don't try to sound fancy. Don't try to add in a bunch of words that you don't really understand just because you're trying to be impressive. You need to write like yourself. You're presenting yourself and your personality and what you stand for in your essay, and you want to communicate that clearly to the people who are reading it. So I think you should be passionate. You can be creative. I mean, you want your essay to stand out. So there are some creative things you can do. And in the seminar, I talk about some of those and have some examples. I think that it can be risky sometimes. It is good to know if your school is more, conservative. If it's conservative, then, you want to keep it kind of traditional in your essay. But I think in general, most universities want you to stand out. They want to see you as an individual. So being creative is a way to do that. Does every essay follow a word count? I already talked about that. Can you go over topic B? Yeah. Topic B is the one, move this little thing around. So this is just a piece of the seminar here. Topic B is the one about an identity, an interest, a talent that defines you. Okay, so topic B is a problematic topic because people don't see the first sentence and they only see the second sentence, which is, tell us about yourself. And so people start like, I don't know, I was born a small little baby at Knapp Medical Center in August 2005, it's like life story. That's not what they're asking for in that one at all. The first part is almost the more important part in essay B to think about, and that is most students have an identity, an interest, or a talent that defines them in an essential way. So you can write about an identity, an interest, or a talent. You are not writing about one of each. although I think it's probably okay if you talk about 2 of them, but you should really center on those 3 ideas. So when they talk about identity, they mean, maybe you've got a certain family element that you want to talk about, something, and the people in my family have this quality, and so do I. Or maybe you have an identity that is based on your passions in life, the things that you stand for. You can think about your identity, and any facet of your identity is valid to talk about in that essay. Interest, that's going to be like your hobbies, the things that you spend your time doing. Maybe you're a gamer, maybe you're a gardener, maybe you like to read poetry. Whatever your hobby is, that's an interest. Talent is a skill that not everybody has, that you have chosen to develop. So a talent will be like music or dance, or maybe you're really talented in sports and you've really developed those skills. So a talent will be something that you're sort of born with, but that you've developed. So with topic B, you're choosing one of those 3 things, and then it's about how has that helped to define you, right? Because they say identity, interest, or talent that defines you in an essential way. So whatever you pick about yourself to write about, how has that helped to define who you are as a person, and more likely in the essay, where you plan to be as an adult. So if you're really passionate about equal rights and you have been, protesting and doing things online and joining organizations and trying to help with that issue, and you're passionate about that, then write about that. And then write about how that has helped to define you. Maybe that's helped you choose your major. Maybe it's going to help you be a compassionate adult, whatever. So that's what I think about topic B. Don't just skip over that, because that's a qualifying statement. They're not just saying, blurt out on paper everything that you can about yourself. But people do that. And so I don't want you to do that, because you're competing against those people and yours will be better. Okay, where was I? Let's go back to the questions. Hopefully that's enough on B. I do talk about each one of A, B, and C in the seminar. What's a good way to start? There's lots of good ways to start the essay. I think you should start in a way that is intriguing. There are several examples that I go into in the seminar. I think that you should seek in your opening sentences to draw the person who's reading it into your piece. I think that you should find a way to make it engaging and try to, yeah, I see that y'all are trying to get into the videos. I need to go back in and give permissions to those, so I will at lunchtime today. So on that sort of thing, you need to kind of go with your topic. Sometimes I tell people to write the body of the essay before they write the intro, because you might need to go in and figure out what you want to say, and then go back and put your sort of interesting, compelling beginning in once you know the direction of your essay. So you could put like a place marker in there, but the most boring way to start, the boring ways to start. Don't do that. Does our prompt always have to be something negative that happened to us? No, actually, no, it doesn't. There are some topics that say write about a challenge or an opportunity. I think if you're going to write about a challenge, if you're going to write about a difficulty that you've been through, if they're asking you to write about a time when you failed, you should always turn that around and say what you learned from that. And so there should be like the silver lining toward the end of the essay, where you can write about, okay, this thing happened, but the thing about failing is that you learn from it, and then write about what you learned and try to focus on that. So if they do ask you to write about a challenge, they usually will also ask you to write about an opportunity. So the essays I like are the ones that say, I had this challenge, but overcoming it turned into an opportunity. So, and then explain how that happened. But no, it doesn't always have to be negative that something happened to you. Okay, I'm on the third column now. When is a good time to have the essay finished? Well, we're going to want to have it finished by mid to late October. October 1st is next week, and FAFSA will open. So that's why the counselors wanted to meet with you last week to get the ball rolling on your application. You have to have your application done for Apply Texas to do the FAFSA. FAFSA is your financial aid. So I mean, unless your parents are writing a check for college just out of their bank account, you're probably going to fill out FAFSA unless you do not have a social security number. If you don't have a social security number, you'll file for TAFSA, which is Texas Financial Aid. So that happens in October. And so, you know, we try to have the essay done as soon as possible. Some of you are on a deadline that you want to get finished the first week in October. Some of you will be more like the middle of October. But I think if November is rolling around and you haven't finished your Apply Texas application, you're behind. So I would make a target to the middle to the end of October, put it on your calendar or something. I would like to know how many pages I can have for my admission scholarship essay. Yeah, well, the way that you do it is, I wish that you could just upload a document, but unless they've changed the application from last year, what you have to do is copy your text and paste it into a form field in the application. So you're not going to be uploading a Google Doc, or you're not going to be uploading, you know, a Word doc or a PDF. You're going to probably be copy pasting your text into a form field, and it is limited. So I always tell people, if that's the way that they're doing it, scroll to the bottom of the form field and make sure it didn't cut off your essay. If your essay is a little on the long side and you ask me to read it, I will probably comment on that for you, and I can help you to reduce it or combine some things, or there's some little tricks that we can do to shorten an essay that's too long. But if they don't give you a limit, then I would shoot for 2 pages max, double spaced. And each school has their different requirements for that, because they know how many people are reading them. If one school has 10 people reading admissions applications, then they know how many they have to get through in a week with those 10 people. But what if the school only has 2? Well, they're going to want shorter essays because they don't have time to look through them all. How do we know when we have put in too much information than what's needed? I think I talked about that. If your goal in the essay is not to list your qualities or to list your achievements, your goal is to make yourself 3-dimensional. So you're not going to be writing about all of the great things about you. That goes in the application itself. They're going to ask you about your awards. They're going to ask you about your recognition and your participation in extracurriculars. All that stuff is going to be in the application. The essay is the time for you to focus on some aspect of who you are as a person and project that to them, so they can see you as not just a number. So they can see you as a person, you know, a round character. And that way they can see you on their campus, and they can see that they might want to invite you to their campus and pay you to come to their campus. And so the essay is important for that reason. For fee waivers, how does that process go? I think I addressed that also too. There's different things for the fee waivers in case you need to test. At this point, I'm thinking not too many people need to do the ACT test unless they need it for their programs, but I'm kind of backing off on that because I'm noticing how many schools are saying that they're test optional. But the fee waivers for ACT, SAT are different than the fee waivers for the application fees for the different schools. So yeah, I would just talk to your school reps or Amanda or your counselor, because the way it works is usually they have a code that they'll give you to put in to waive the fee for the applications. How do we know if we apply for fee waivers for our college applications? I'm not sure about that question, but I think I answered about fee waivers. Yeah, I would get on that, you know, sooner rather than later, because you don't want to have a deadline where you have to turn it in by a certain time and you don't have a waiver yet. Also, they will run out. So, you know, like anything that's free, you know, you get there too late and they're out. So I would make sure that I contacted whoever you're in contact with at your different school. If you're not in contact with anybody at your school, then you should probably start reaching out to them. Go to those sessions that the counselors are setting up. I guess they're going to be Zoom meetings, and start touching base. Let those reps know who you are. Make sure that they are aware of your situation and that you're asking for waivers, and try to get it that way. It'll happen. But yeah, if you're thinking of applying to 6 different schools, that could be almost $500 just in application fees. And that's not even a guarantee that you're going to get in. It's not like a payoff. Okay, I think I got to all these questions. Is there anything on here? Anything else you want to add before I talk about the seminar? I know I've been talking a lot today, but I feel like those were questions you wanted me to talk about. So you put them on the paper on the screen. So my coffee's cold. All right, let's talk about this week then. Oh, the seminar. So I did create a seminar. I know that it's not completely ready. I had thought that it was, but really I just filmed my videos, put them all in, and you got a little preview of the back side of it. But basically what I did was I thought, since I'm not going to be seeing you every day at school, and I'm not going to be there at school after school to help you through this process, what could I do to help you get your college admissions essay going? Obviously, I'll edit for you. I'll give you feedback. You can just share your stuff with me, and usually I have a turnaround of 24 hours, so I'll be able to give you some comments. But I also set up this seminar that you could go through so that you can click on the things that you might be interested in at the top. And what I did was, wait, there's a table of contents. So there's a table of contents right here. Okay, that link's not working. I'm gonna fix it all up at lunch today, I'm sorry. So I made these little videos and I put them in for the different topics. So here's the overview. This arrow goes to the next page, some of the overview. I feel like this is capturing me and not my best moments, some of these thumbnails. Whatever. So then if you wanted to hear me talk a little bit about the process of college applications, about brainstorming, and then you can go to the next page and I'll talk about the qualities of a good essay. This is the rubric that I use sometimes if I'm assigning this as a project. And there's a video on every page where I'm walking you through that particular page. And you can just keep going through with the arrows, or you can use the tabs at the top. It's not necessarily sequential, so you can either just go through it and hear everything I have to say, or you can just go to the parts that you're interested in, and there'll be links and there'll be items here to look at, but then there'll also be a video of me talking about that. It took me a while because there's a lot of videos in here. So each section has a different focus. What about interest, originality, and voice? And then I'm taking that scoring guide and I'm kind of talking about that section of the scoring guide in the video. And examples, this one walks you through some examples of how you can add interest. I think that speaks to the creativity question that was on the other, submission page. So I'll talk about 4 different ways of responding that were examples of being more creative in your response. The reason people want to be creative, of course, is so that their essay will stand out, from the others and sort of catch the attention of the person who's reading it. So you can just watch the videos. I'll say, stop the video and watch this, click on over here and click on the thing, and it will kind of walk you through it. There's a couple bonuses in there where if you wanted to watch that, you could. Here's the page that I was on earlier because I needed this link for the checking the schools to see where you can, which ones need which essays. And the essay prompts are there. That's getting cut off. Oh, okay. So then I just kind of go through each section of the scoring guide, talking about it, and then the next page is usually an example, what to think about when you're working on this part of your essay. What about conclusions? So I'll talk about that a little bit. And then I have examples. I have been collecting college admissions essay examples from conferences and seminars and my own students over the years. So you can go to my collection right here and there's lots of examples to look at. I gave you permission into that whole folder. So I organized them based on some basic topics that we see a lot in these essays, like identity, influencers, key experiences, my origins, overcoming things, and then there's some risky essays. So I put the essays in there and you can just look at whichever ones you want as examples. You can also go online and just Google college admission essay examples, but I like these because they're from my own students and from my own experience in sessions. So I know them a little bit better. And plus, if you have too many to look at, sometimes, I don't know, sometimes it's too much. Anyway, so the seminar is there for you to use or not use as you see fit. If you want to just sort of hit or miss whichever parts you need, then I set it up so that you can do it that way. I will go through later today and I'll make sure that all the videos, I just put them in there and I didn't realize that I didn't give permission. So I'll go back and check all that at lunch. Hopefully that's helpful. Any comments about the seminar or anything that you think I should add to it? I'm trying really hard to think of ways that I can help you from a distance, you know. It's not ideal, but maybe with technology we can make it work. All right, let me go ahead and wrap up then. The tasks for this week, there are not any new tasks. Obviously do your formatives. We only have formatives this week on Monday and Wednesday. Friday's a B day, so you don't have to worry about your formative on Friday. Make sure that you are working on your project and continuing to meet with me on your scheduled times. I put the link to the schedule here, and I put a link to the guide sheet for how you should be working through your project. I also put a link here from the counselors and a reminder about your Google Calendar. So really, I'm not adding anything this week because I figure you're probably getting started on your essays or working on your Apply Texas. And I don't need to add anything to that for this week. We are doing enough. Questions? No? Everybody's okay? Well, hopefully, even though I was talking a lot, hopefully I answered some of your questions and, you know, gave you some direction for working on your essays. If you need more, you can do the seminar or you can get in touch with me. We could set up an additional conference if you want to talk about your college admissions essay, different time, and meet up, or you can get feedback just on your doc, whatever way works. I got a new Chrome extension that I kind of want to try out because it records like where the comments go on the Google Doc. It records me talking to you. So get ready to hear more of my voice, I guess. I don't know. I feel like if it's something simple and quick, I can type it. And if it's something a little bit longer, I can do a little recording, but we'll see. We'll see how it works. Okay, well, I don't have anything else for today. If something comes up, please communicate with me. You can remember that you can use my Google Voice number. That's probably the thing that I will respond to the fastest, but I do get to my emails by the end of the day. But the Google Voice number is down here. Just if you have never texted me there before, just tell me who you are. So, you know, otherwise I don't have to do the who's this thing. But yeah, I feel like that's the easiest way. It's a texting world these days, so. All right, well, I'm looking forward to all the conferences that I have set up this week. I'm looking forward to your progress on them. Looking forward to looking at your college admissions essays. That's a lot. So my heart is with you. I'm here to help you. And you're not alone even though you're alone. Does that make sense? I don't know. I'm there with you. Okay? All right, I'm going to sign off. I know that you've got another, well, we've got lunch coming up. So if something comes up, let me know. I miss you all. All right, talk to you later.
Thank you, Miss. Bye.
Bye. Oh, the chat. Oh, nice. Are y'all staying on because you have questions?
I have a quick question. Marilyn and I think it's the same one.
Okay.
For how you said how Miss Kovacevic, how she won't be going back to work. We were wondering, like, she's not hired with STC either, because we were thinking that since she's not at East anymore, that she would still be with STC, but is that not how it works?
I don't think that's how it works. Okay. Because she's teaching for both schools at the same time. And I don't think that they would have a spot for her over at the campus. So, I mean, I can text her and find out. She's a friend of mine, but I think in general, she was hired to teach the dual on campus. So I can, you know what, let me email the principal and find out what they plan to do with that slot. And maybe I can give you some feedback on that later today or tomorrow.
Okay.
I'll email you if I find something out.
Okay.
Miss
Thank
can
you.
also email Paula. I'm not in the class, but Paula was too scared to ask the question.
Yeah.
Why is you guys should not be scared to ask me questions. You know,
She
I
was like,
answer
I'm so
stuff like constantly.
shy.
She's literally not shy.
Okay. It's about the other people in class, right? I guess. Yeah. Okay. I'll go ahead and check that out and see.
Thank you, Ms. Ramos.
Sure thing.
Bye.
Talk to you later. Bye.
Thank you.
My pleasure. What's up, Zeke?